Today on Locked On Rockies. Well, the Rockies, they're going to Rocky.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 24th day of March in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you that daily Colorado Rockies talk. Find us on those streaming services or head over to the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel and be part of the show like a lot of you have been. We got a lot of people reacting to an incredibly disappointing weekend for the Colorado Rockies. I to be totally honest, I have no idea what even happened for the Rockies during spring training, because I was so distracted by the fact that the Rockies completely stumbled here at the finish line. Honestly, I'm not going to mince words here too much. I'm incredibly disappointed by the last 48 hours for the Colorado Rockies. Like, plain and simple. When you're asking what I was excited for, what I was looking forward to this opening day, I was looking forward to a young, different team, and yet we are doing the same thing. The Rockies are repeating 2024 all over again, with the exception of they brought their two starting pitchers back. Sign up for the same thing, because the Rockies are following their playbook to the T. Before we dive into everything today, just want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So, as you all saw yesterday, the Rockies making their opening day roster, making it the final roster here, and to just go through who that it's going to be. Nick Martini's getting a bid, and it will be Beck, Sean Bouchard, with Martini being the starting right fielder for the Rockies here. So when we said that we were worried that the Rockies were doing exactly what they were going to do with Jay Cave, they did it. They have now found their player that they are going to get in 120 games and take hundreds of at-bats away from Zac Veen, away from Bouchard, away from Beck, and you've traded Nolan Jones for a utility infielder who, yes, can play some outfielder, but it's a complete overreaction to a guy that's going to be down 4 to 8 weeks when you had in-house things, including a veteran player that could already play second base in Kyle Farmer. This is why we don't take the Rockies seriously when I'm sorry. Zac Veen earned a shot. And I want to go over here to Purple Row right now to at least start highlighting this, because Evan Lang, this is the pieces, the parts that just frustrate me. Evan Lang, Zac Veen's failure to earn in quotation marks, by the way, a roster spot calls Rockies youth movement into question. If one of the young guys are ready, we're not afraid to go with them. Those were the words of Colorado Rockies general manager Bill Schmidt as spring training began in February. So tell me how your camp MVP, the best player in your spring training camp this year, didn't earn a spot because of a strikeout rate, because of defense. I'm not buying that, man. That's a total BS thing. I'm sorry. If you're worried about it and it's like, oh, it needs the consistent playing time, then start him in right field. What are we doing? This is classic Rockies here. This is them getting in there and saying, we got to get these veteran guys in there so they can give us the best chance to win. This is the Rockies with the same coaching staff, the same front office, the same ownership, doing the same thing. All of this possible speculation that we were saying, oh, maybe the Rockies are really going to embrace the young guys. Maybe the Rockies are really going to embrace the youth movement. No, they're not. They don't. They're not. This is MO for them. If you trade Nolan Jones, you are freeing up an extra spot in the outfield. But instead of trying to clear out the log jam of outfielders you have, boom, you got to get Nick Martini in there. Got to. He's going to be the difference maker. And guess what? Do you think the Jake Cave stuff is still on the mind of the Rockies and how much they want to lean back into that? Here's what Bud Black had to say. Here's what Bud Black had to say about Nick Martini here. And again, I want to emphasize this by nothing personal against Nick Martini or Sam Hilliard. I just saw one of the Rockies' top prospects have the best spring out of any position player outside of me. I mean, Antonio Senzatella is a pitcher, so maybe he's the only exception of Rocky that had a better spring than Zac Veen. And the Rockies said, nah, not ready yet. We're going to give it to a guy that's not proven himself at the major league level, mind you, in Nick Martini. Hasn't done that. Been complete average at best. And you're going to have Sam Hilliard in there. Great. With that, of course, we know. Great story, great guy. But he led the spring in strikeouts. The biggest problem for the Rockies is strikeouts. And yet you're going to have a guy that just came in and struck out at a 50% rate in the spring, mixed with his already career history of strikeout problems. Just because you gotta have that center field backup defense for Brenton Doyle. Gotta have it. Can't survive a game or two with sub-average defense out there in center field. Can't do that. At the risk of figuring out what Zac Veen can bring, what Beck can bring, what Bouchard can bring. Nah. We need, as the Rockies, to see Sam Hilliard and Nick Martini in the lineup at the same time. Gotta have it. Gotta have those vets. Gotta have those guys because they're going to be the game changers. Sorry, I know I got distracted from telling you why Bud Black has found his Jake Cave this year, and I know he's excited. He's sitting there saying, yeah, buddy, got him. Can't wait to do this. When the Rockies brought in 34-year-old Nick Martini on a non-roster invite this winter, there was already fears of what he may become. Rockies fan had just spent 2024 with Jake Cave as their primary right fielder, and Martini was of a similar profile. A gritty veteran with little sustained success during his career, he may put up some solid performances throughout the season that would ultimately play far too much and vulture playing time away from younger players when the Rockies should be focused on rebuilding. Rockies manager Bud Black confirmed those fears on Sunday. Nick Martini showed very well. He brings an element to our club, not unlike what Jake Cave brought last year as a fan favorite that Jake Cave became. And I do want to add this credit because this is a good point here from Evan. To say Martini didn't earn a roster spot this spring would be untrue. Martini has a team second best 1.067 OPS in Cactus League play. He's hit 14 for 36 with 2 home runs, more walks than strikeouts, and even a few stolen bases. Great. That sounds like an awesome veteran backup player. That sounds like a guy that I would happily have fill in for Zac Veen on an off day. Average player that is going to hopefully become a fan favorite because he can just be the gritty right fielder guy that's going to be a little bit more of a professional than a young team that's rough around the edges. What I was hoping for this year was to go into the season and think and expect and hope for something different. To see the Rockies say, you know what? We have had back-to-back 100-loss seasons, and we are facing a steep mountain again. Why not try something different? Why not do something differently? Why not see what we have? Because guess what? Every single time that Nick Martini and Sam Hilliard plays, the outfield logjam gets no more clear. And why was it Nolan Jones the only option that's going to go there? Why did it have to be Nolan Jones, the guy that a lot of fans had already started being intrigued in and whose ceiling was still had plenty of time to rebound after one bad year? Why were the Rockies not willing to move on from these other guys, yet they're going to just continue to let them just play AAA ball? What is the point? What is the point of playing Nick Martini? What is the point of playing Sam Hilliard? Making them the starters. And feel free, if you got an idea, let me know. Because from the response, from the reactions that I have seen, it was one of the busiest days of interaction that I've ever had on Twitter. And all the comments that we've gotten on our short bonus episode yesterday show that this is not where the Rockies fans want them to be here. This is not how all of spring was pointing to, hey, there might be some intrigue here. The Rockies might be doing something differently, but no, it's demotion after demotion, and here it is. Your starting outfield for the Colorado Rockies is going to feature two guys that don't clear. And granted, I know Hilliard isn't for sure starting yet. I should clarify that I know that, but those games are going to happen. When both of them are in, while Veen, while Beck, while Bouchard are all going to either be on the bench or in the minors, and the Rockies are going to go out with that lineup. That, I just, it boils my blood, man. And here's what Evan brings up on the Purple Row article about stuff that might get in the way here, and what Bud Black is saying about it. Veen will start in this AAA to hone his skills, according to Bud Black. Black cited Veen's 32.8% spring strikeout rate as the reason for the move. However, Veen's strikeout rate was just one tick higher than that of starting baseman Michael Toglia, 32.7, and was significantly better than starting third baseman Ryan McMahon, 41.3%. Fellow outfielders Sean Bouchard, 29.2, and Jordan Beck, 38.7, also struck out at a significant clip this spring and still made the team. The argument rings even more hollow with the fact that Sam Hilliard has just hit 125, 208, 271 with a Cactus League high 25 strikeouts for an eye-watering 52.1% strikeout rate. Hone the skills? I'm sorry, Sam Hilliard can play defense. Sam Hilliard can hit a ball 500 feet, but he also strikes out at a 50% rate. It isn't just spring. We know that strikeouts are a huge problem with him, and we know that strikeouts are a massive problem for the Rockies. So the biggest benefit from playing Nick Martini is you have a guy that might not strike out as much. Thank goodness the Rockies can put one veteran player instead of developing a batter's eye within their people to get them a more disciplined and better approach at the plate, because strikeouts are and will be a huge problem for this Rockies team. We already have seen it throughout the spring. The adjustments have not happened. This team is going to be a bottom of the barrel strikeout team again. They're going to strike out a ton. And I'd rather watch Zac Veen go through it and figure it out. Because a great season for Nick Martini means nothing for the Colorado Rockies in the future. Means absolutely nothing. But at bats for Veen, Beck and Bouchard, all of which, one of them's going to play left, right? Beck or Bouchard here coming up now with no Nolan Jones. So one of those guys is going to get in. But it's just one. Why not go with Beck and Veen? Because it's under this guise of this guy is going to help us. He's going to be the right piece that's going to help us win ball games, because I'm Bud Black and I'm all about winning ball games. This is why we aren't confident in the direction of the Rockies. This is why we aren't confident in the development of these players. Mixed with, this is why we aren't confident in this coaching staff, because they're doing exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. There's nothing different about this year. There's no reason now to feel like the Rockies are going to go be in a different spot this year. The excitement, at least for me, this season has been squashed considerably, because this is a team that has learned nothing, has not changed their approach, because they're still striking out and they're still going with veteran players over their same guys. I mean, it is literally, we are just taking 2024. We're slapping a new coat of paint on it with a different second baseman and two more pitchers that we're familiar with, and it's going to be the same thing. Zac Veen has to hone his skills, yet there are players on the team that made the team striking out more than him, playing worse defense than him. The best player in spring, as I knock my mic over, the best player in spring was not good enough to beat out those guys that came to the Rockies on non-roster invites. And they get to sit there and say, oh, Zac Veen understands. He understands where he needs to be. He knows. This is what he says. This is what Bud Black says. Zac realizes that it's probably a little more time needed in the minor before he potentially gets an opportunity, Black said. Hopefully he'll force that by how his play. How did he not force it over the spring by being the best player on the Rockies in the spring? Like, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm out of line here. But this just doesn't make sense. This is a young prospect that proved himself. The Rockies were willing to give the keys over to Ezequiel Tovar when he was young and had plenty of refinement left in the game. But yet they handed it over to him, and look what happened. They trusted Brenton Doyle, and look what happened. The Rockies are not going to be in a better position for the future because of these moves. And even if it is 2 weeks, maybe I'm overreacting and it's everyone, because there are people that say, listen, hey, he might be coming up, and we'll talk about service time manipulation here in just a second. But why not? Why follow the same thing and set yourself up for literally going into this year basically in the exact same spot that you were last year with the addition of 2 pitchers? I just don't get it. What else does Zac Veen have to do? Because this is a pretty darn good spring, especially when you compare it to other people here. Zac Veen was 279, 353, 475, 4 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs, 11 RBI, and 9 stolen bases. I don't care about the defense of Zac Veen right now. I don't. If he struggles on defense in his rookie season, it's a rookie struggling on defense. It happens, whatever. But if he comes up and he bats over 270 and he steals a bunch of bases, that's exciting. That's getting better. What other skills does he have to hone? He just spent a month basically playing at the minor league level, give or take, depending on who was starting that day. And he succeeded. And he succeeded in the minors before. Health has been the big question mark. Again, even if you, it's not just that, it's just playing these young guys. It's not going to magically turn the Rockies into a good team. No, it's to see what they have. It's to see what they can make. It's to set up moves to be made at the trade deadline. Because guess what? They're not going to trade Nick Martini at the trade deadline. They're going to keep him all year, and he's going to play. Oh boy. Let's talk about what they might be doing in terms of service time here. Denver Sports has got a little bit of insight on that. Let's take a break, give you an update about the schedule for this week as well. Coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Just Ingredients. Yes, Just Ingredients has been my pre- and post-workout plan since they sent us over some stuff to try here. And let me tell you, I'm pretty hesitant about some of these type of things. I'm a big taste guy, because when those things taste weird, I don't like using them. But luckily, my strawberry lemonade pre-workout and my chocolate protein there for the post and during has been exactly what I need. Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients is also partnered with 2-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off their clean and transparent ingredients with wholesome, nourishing ingredients without any artificial junk. You can get 20% off your order when you use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off your order at justingredients.us. And for more wellness tips, follow just.ingredients on Instagram. Just.ingredients on Instagram and justingredients.us with the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. We're also brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you can just stop managing your money and start building wealth. You can see just how much you're spending on those small things, the streaming services, the delivery, all that stuff, and it's going to help you budget and save more. And it's all in one spot right there on the app, right there. Easy to use, and you can collaborate with your partner, so it's easy to build that money together. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. 50% off your first year of Monarch Money. Monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB. Back at it here on the Locked On Rockies podcast as we're reacting to the demotion weekend, the opening day roster for the Colorado Rockies. Paul Holden here. And folks, you all have really tuned in and enjoyed the show here and have been asking questions here pre the bonus episode yesterday. Let's see here. Let's read some. TK says, I do believe Nolan was a one-hit wonder and is Hilliard with a better arm. Now, who they traded him for is definitely questionable. I do think this means Beck and Veen start in the outfield and Hilliard is gone. Oh, TK, sorry. Had to. That one happened just mere hours before all that happened. Sean says this one hurts. Need to start a young outfielder. No excuses. Matthew says, to me, this is all about clearing a spot for Veen and Beck, and it's about the Rockies not wanting to choose between the two of them. I'll miss Nolan's rocket right arm, but I'm beyond excited, and I'm happy that they're taking a risk. They didn't take the risk. They took the safe bet. They took the safe bet and got their Jake Cave again. Let's see here. Arlex says, our genius GM does not realize we cannot pick higher than 10th overall pick in next year's draft, right? If we lose 120 games this season, we cannot pick higher than 10th in the draft in 2026. I'll have to double check on that, but I mean, it sounds like I remember what the A's, who was it this year that they were in a similar spot. They didn't really have a huge high draft pick after that. Anyway, there's so much more, but let's see. Moon Unit says, trading a fan favorite young player for a guy who will be wearing another uniform by June? Huh? And Lux A says, and the Rockies didn't even have Zach make the roster and put him in AAA. I don't know why I'm still supporting the franchise sometimes. And let's see. Yeah, there's still plenty. Anyway, let's go over here because Alex says this. And now we send Veen down. Seems like service time manipulation at its finest. And over here on Denver Sports 104.3, The Fan, Andrew Mason kind of dives into this and looks into this being a possible option here for the Rockies. By holding back Veen from the Major League roster for 16 days, the Rockies could gain another year of contract control relative to arbitration free agency for Veen. If he is on the Major League roster for 172 days or finishes in the top 2 of NL Rookie of the Year voting, he would be credited with 1 year of service that would count on the clock towards arbitration and free agency. Further, there are other young players the Rockies may want to examine in the outfield, particularly Bouchard and Beck. The 28-year-old Bouchard had notched a 1.089 OPS in the Cactus League over the last month. Beck had an inconsistent campaign last year and has struggled this spring. He ranks second in MLB strikeouts during spring training with 2022, and the leader is Sam Hilliard. So, the service time manipulation makes sense, and if it's only if Veen comes right up here in a couple of weeks, great, and it helps them with the arbitrate and all that stuff, fine. But it's pointless, and this is just a small way to tinker because again, sure, service time manipulate all you want, but are you actually going to play them? Are you actually going to use these guys? Do you actually care? Again, right? Like manipulate it all you want, but you're not giving a guy who earned the opportunity the shot to go out there and do it. So maybe there's a great chance we see Zac Veen, in May or something like that. But we're waiting because it's more stuff for the Rockies to tinker and figure out and cut and trim and be cheap. So instead, we have to sit there and we have to watch Nick Martini. And I feel bad that I'm going after a guy that had a good spring, but I don't want to watch a 30 or 34-year-old veteran player that has not done anything stand out worthy in his career to help launch this young Rockies team. I want to watch young Rockies guys. I want you, the organization, to prove to me that you can draft and develop talent. I want you to prove that when they get to the major league level, they don't peter out and they don't stop hitting their ceiling, because it seems like that might start happening. And it seems like that's happened with a couple of guys. You're going to get that Ryan McMahon strikeout rate under control anytime soon? Bam and Buddy? Going to work on that at all? Going to work on the fact that your team strikes out 10 times a game consistently? The point is, my main takeaway from all this, and if you are like who is this here? JD Fins D here says, huge Rockies fan here, but I have a hard time listening to you. I understand. I'm an acquired taste, but on days like today, I'm pissed off. This sucks. This isn't a team that actually seems like they're taking the rebuilding or really embracing it seriously. There's really no need other than to kind of screw with Zac Veen a little bit, mess with his, manipulate his service time, and have him not be rewarded for breaking out in the spring and being the best player in the spring. Clearly it's not good enough for this coaching staff, and I don't know what is. What's good enough for Bud Black for you to be a starter to have a good spring, be over 30 years old, and be able to play right field, and you're in. I just don't think the Rockies are not in a better spot right now. And I don't think Rockies fans are entering. I think there was excitement building, a small amount of excitement, but intrigue was building about this team going into spring, or going into the end of spring and going into this to the start of the season. That's now been squashed. Fans no longer can root for the rebound of Nolan Jones and, as Patrick Lyons calls them, the Colorado Cannons in center field and left. The Rockies don't get to see a top 10 prospect break the team and make it out of camp and take over the right field spot, even though he earned it in spring training. The Rockies are doing the same thing that the Rockies have always done. And now we're supposed to go out and expect to hear, and we're going to hear it. We're putting the lineups out there. They're going to put us in the best chance to win. Oh, Zac Veen needs to still tinker on some stuff and make the adjustments. Whatever. I shouldn't have even spent this whole offseason speculating about the Rockies doing anything differently, because when they committed to this, when this front office and this coaching staff, when they doubled down and said back-to-back 100-loss seasons, 6 straight losing seasons, all of this stuff, it doesn't matter. Because you know what matters the most? The Rockies got their gang doing it their way, and they're perfectly fine. Because Bud Black got his extension, and he's doing the same old thing, doing it all over again. Let's just do 2024 over again, folks. And again, I'm overreacting. I'm being dramatic, but this is another moment of my frustration about the Colorado Rockies overflowing, because this just doesn't feel right. And I'm not the only one saying that. Literally, one of the reaction to the Nolan Jones trade and to the roster cuts being made yesterday, I wasn't seeing anyone saying, boom, yeah, the Rockies are making the right calls. Boom, yep, the Rockies are in the right spot. I saw a lot of the Rockies are trading Nolan Jones, and then I saw a lot of Rockies fans saying Zac Veen didn't make the cut. So for me, I don't know if it's the same for other Rockies fans. I went from being a mix of excited, but I didn't want to get too overly excited. But I was more excited going into this season than the past two, because I was excited about the return of Senza and Herman, and I thought that they would pair well with a young offense that was probably going to strike out a lot and kind of falter a little bit. But we're getting to see a really big chunk of these young and exciting guys. Instead, we have to wait. And now any possible amount of things could happen between, for the next few weeks. But for Veen, could cool off, could be weird, could be the adjustments of going up and down, could get hurt. But instead of seeing that possibly play out at the major league level, we just have to hope and wait and see that the Rockies do something differently. Because they're still not going to find out. They're still not going to get the good enough looks at Bouchard or Beck either. It ain't just Veen. It's the Rockies going for another year in the rebuild where they're saying we are doubling down by making sure we are blocking young talent with veteran talent. We are blocking young players because we are going to put 34-year-old Nick Martini in right field. That is what's going to help the Rockies be the best version of themselves. Same old, same old, same old. Incredibly disappointing. I'm incredibly disappointed. And we've gone way long today. Got to take a quick break. We'll read a few more comments to wind down the show, and I'll let you know about a little bit of a difference in the schedule for this week as well, coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is, of course, in full swing. I'm repping today. Heartbreaker for the CSU Rams out there last night. But the madness continues, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. You can find your favorites or the underdogs in the super easy-to-use FanDuel app that includes action going on right through the tournament. And there's action happening just about every day, so there's always something going on. And maybe if hoops isn't your thing, well, you got time before the season starts to get in on some MLB futures. The simple-to-use FanDuel app is easy, and when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Locked On Rockies wrapping up for today. I mean, we do not have time to get to all sorts of that, all sorts of these comments here. Reacting to the Nolan Jones trade yesterday. So let me know. Am I too overboard here? Am I doing my classic thing where I'm overreacting to what the Rockies are doing? Is my disappointment invalid? Let me know in the comments below. John says, I get that someone in the outfield eventually had to go. I'm sad to see him go, but like any trade, you just never know. I just hope he gave his dinger oven mitt to Doyle or Tovar. Yeah, I feel you. Wow, man. Those were cool. I really like those things. Timothy says, it's a weird move, but I think they'll still be okay. It did seem Jones was struggling enough to make this move. I like that Freeman can play every position. That is a good point. I do like that. Like, again, I'm preaching about these veteran guys, right? But why not have the guy you just traded for be your backup right fielder? He can play everything. He's young. He's 25. Why isn't that the move? Like, you just traded for this utility player whose defense is apparently his biggest strength. Why is he not going to be getting? Why not is he in the mix for right field? Don't forget when we see Chris Bryant play outfield too. We forgot about him. Let's see. Veen will be up soon, but if he wasn't going to play every day, it makes sense for him to get bats in AAA. The pitching is still key to the Rockies. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a big thing. I don't think you can just sit there and just say the pitching, though. I think it's the offense has been so bad for the past couple of seasons. I was really hoping that with some of these young guys, we'd see some of that, a different pulse there. Let's see. Will says, I disagree with the trade and believe we could have traded another outfielder in our logjam. However, I will say Tyler Freeman is a versatile guy who doesn't strike out. This gives a lot of flexibility to slot in a soft hitting contact guy in a lineup that is high strikeout, high power potential. It's been shown soft contact at cores can be a good combo. That's but then Will says, with that said, I believe we lost this trade and ownership is a joke. I do think Tyler Freeman's an interesting thing. Part of me is more mad about the Zac Veen thing than the Nolan Jones thing, but it's the combo. Because when you set up with Nolan Jones, you're setting up the possibility. You say, oh, okay, if you're trading Nolan Jones, then you're opening the door. You're paving the way for the young guys. But you're not, because you're in the same position you were. If you kept Nolan Jones, then you're looking at just filling right field. Now it's left field. That's going to be the more difficult defensive position as well to play. All right, we are way overdue here, so I'm going to wrap the show up for today and let you know about a little difference in the schedule here. So you're getting a double dip today. So there won't be an episode tomorrow because we got this episode and then premiering here in just a little bit. We got our NL West division preview. So you're getting some double dip action here on this Monday. We'll probably be back in action on Wednesday as we're really getting ready for the baseball to start. But far too much happened this weekend for us to not hop on the horn here and chat about it. But that is going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. And for your second listen of the day, Locked On MLB or Locked On Fantasy Baseball, they got you covered here, getting ready for opening day just a few days away. Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, Buffs, all got you covered for your Colorado sports coverage as well. And until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.